I'm going to call this meeting to order, and we have some minutes from a number of meetings. I'm going to take them one by one. We have the minutes of December 21st.
I'll move that we approve the minutes from December 21st.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Abstentions? Okay.
All right, well, I'll move that we approve the minutes from the January 2nd special meeting.
I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
No, abstain.
I'll move that we approve the January 2nd regular meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll abstain.
I abstain.
No, that one you were there.
I was there?
Yeah.
Okay.
January 9th, the budget meeting, I'll make a motion.
Second?
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Geraldine, that's the one you weren't at.
Okay, I abstain.
And January 9th, the special meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay.
And any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And so am I.
All right. Well, there. Anyone want to take a rest?
Take a break.
Okay, so moving on. Bills for payment. We have warrants 15 and the payroll 15P.
I'll move that we approve warrants 15 and 15P.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Warrant 15 is for a total of $49,996.31, and that went to fuel, Green Mountain Power, $17,000 going for crushing gravel tar. There were payroll transfers and health insurance. The audit that we just had done came in $500 less than estimate. Our rescue monthly bill, sheriff's monthly bill, our quarterly assessment from the Wyndham Solid Waste Management District, and there were some loads of salt for the highway department. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Now, we have some members of the public who'd like to speak, and since your school comrades aren't here, we'll go with the representatives of the library and the library trustees.
Yes.
Yes, want to come up? And this is, this is going to be about budget, right?
This is budget.
Okay.
Budget hat.
We love talking about budget, so,
Me too.
yeah.
Yes.
So if you could just describe the request that you made to the select board.
Okay. The request we made to the select board was for a town support of $14,750, and that was to cover the staff cost for next year. That's $11,920, and $50 for mileage component, so that's $1,970. For rent to the community center, which is $2,200. The insurance, which is part of the town insurance package, $100. And we have now had a cleaning contract for $500 for once a month cleaning at the library with the Mastaller company. Well, I understand, I got the reference from town hall that they were using Mastaller. So this is in current, we're having to cover it this year because it needed to be done. So it's just once a month, and that comes up to $14,770, hence the $14,750.
Which is an increase over last year. Last year was
$14,000. This current year, when you say last year, it's like this, the one we're living with now is
Yes.
$14,000.
so it's a $750 increase
Yes.
over this current year.
Right.
And so I invited Susan to come because we didn't put in our budget that amount. We only have in our budget 14,140. And so I just wanted her to be able to give the rationale directly to see if we might reconsider what we had put in the budget.
What was the cleaning budget again? Your cleaning guy?
$500, that's once a month cleaning.
And the increase was also based on increasing the hours of the librarian.
Yes. The librarian is, well, when we hired the librarian, the mandate was that we wanted to expand programming and outreach, expand the number of users in the library. We just finished under the previous librarian who left a year and a half ago, big automation, which is big for us, automating the catalog, online catalog, and the circulation. And we felt in a position to try to reach more people in the community to use the library. And that's what Karen is doing, and it's been successful, and we're very excited about reaching more members of the community. Hence the increase, which is she's getting a 1% increase in the base salary, and then we added 45 minutes a week to her time for a total of 13 hours. She's getting 12 hours and 25 and 15 minutes this year per week, and it's going to 13. And that was partly, that was because of the amount of, she spends a lot of her own time doing library work in order to accomplish this, and we felt we wanted to at least cut into a little of that for her. We did put together a local library comparison. The statistics come from the state, a state document that they produce every year. This one, the one that would be, the newest one is for fiscal year 2017. The one for 2018 will be in preparation now in Montpelier. It's not maybe around April, so they're behind a bit. But I don't know if you're interested in looking at this, but this will tell you a little bit about where our community is in terms of just local, Guilford, Jamaica, Newfane, Wilmington, Putney, Townsend, and Wardsboro. So this may or may not be of interest to
And Susan, can you tell us what the total increase in salary is for the librarian over this year? That particular line item?
Yes, I have that. Here somewhere.
So the increase from 14,000 to 14,750, $750 that you're asking for. Is 500 of that the cleaning?
Yeah, well, the
Because that
500
wasn't in the budget this current year, correct?
No,
Okay,
it was not.
okay. And then the increase in the salary, 1% plus this,
Well, the
3/4 of an hour.
current salary, 18-19, is 11,130. That's salary and benefits. That's
Yep.
FICA and Medicare.
Mhm.
And this year's is, I just lost my place.
That's okay, very prepared.
11,920.
What is,
11,920.
so $790 of an increase.
Yeah, well, right. And as I said.
So you're not, I mean, from one point of view, you're not really asking, we could look at that increase as supporting the increase in the salary. You're absorbing the cleaning.
We're absorbing some of the cleaning, yeah, exactly, we're absorbing some of the cleaning with the fundraised money. As fundraised money, we have to raise about 1/3 of our budget, and it covers things like the technology and all the books and videos. It's not paid for with town money. It's only infrastructure and salary.
So Dummerston isn't on this
It's
chart.
at the
Yes,
top.
we're top.
The top one.
Lydia Taft.
LTPL,
Sorry,
sorry.
it's Lydia Taft Pratt Library.
Okay, sorry.
So,
Otherwise known as Dummerston's Public Library.
yeah. So Cindy, you have 12.5 written for the Lydia Taft Pratt Library for last year, is that right?
This would be 16, 17.
So 16,
This
17.
is, this would be fiscal year 16, 17.
So I'm showing on our budget an actual 14,195 for fiscal 16. Not 12.5.
16, 17? You have that?
Okay.
Okay.
Fiscal 16, 14.1, fiscal 17, 13.9, fiscal 18, 13.5.
Okay, well,
Let's see, yeah.
That's just from our historical
I
budget
see.
worksheet.
Okay, I have to go back. Do you have the original document?
I do, I'm looking it up now.
Okay. And is 16, 17 not?
Well, it's whatever was put in by the person who filled out the paperwork and it
But
has.
the fiscal year is 16, so why don't you come on up?
So,
To your question, it's listed here, which means whoever, usually the librarian or the treasurer, whoever's filling out the annual
Right,
report.
we'll give that one of those.
Right, and this is available if you want to hold on to this. I can leave it with you.
That's fine.
Well,
I'm
let's
just-
just
I'm
finish
looking
the
for accuracy.
discussion,
Yeah,
see if
Yeah.
we need it, yeah.
Make sure our numbers match up, that's all.
so how many active patrons do you have, do you think?
There are a couple hundred.
That's it? Well, when you
Well,
say
some of them are
patrons,
families.
that's one of the problems, yes.
Yeah.
This is a very old-fashioned system, and there weren't individual cards, and there still aren't in a lot of cases, which means you're covering families of 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. So, you know, that's something that we're hoping that, since we're computerized, we will try to get at each person and, you know, children over a certain age. And that would, you know, double the quadruple the number.
So are people ever taken off your tally?
Well, right now, that tally would be fairly accurate because it was, everything that's gone to the computer. We still have paper records, but a lot of those paper records are old and that people, you know, moved away, passed away. So, but the computer records would be much more accurate because they're in the last few years.
Because people are only entered into the computer program when they come in our borrowing
They're
books.
actually asked.
So we have maybe 500 or so cards of people who
Yeah.
have been to the library many years ago.
Yep.
But until they walk in the door and take out a book or
Mhm.
join a program or something, we don't put them into the
Sure.
computer.
Okay.
No, we didn't take the cards and put them in the system.
Yeah,
We
okay.
knew that it was inaccurate.
Yeah, all right.
It's been there a long, long time.
You know, I'll just say, first of all, I like having it there. I mean, I don't walk down there as much as I would like to, and I think it's, you know, it's hard to put a value on having a library in the town. I think it's very important. So, I mean, I'm all about supporting the library. I think the steps you guys have taken are fantastic. However, there's always creep in everything we do, and you know, for me, like this $500 in cleaning, I mean, that's something that, you know, really in the past, it's you got what 800, what's your 784 square feet. I just, you know, every year we could find something to add in there. And it seems like in the past, the librarians have at least done some minor cleaning or, you know, volunteer someone that could help you. I just, like, I want to support the library. I think all the things you've done is great, but it's so easy to just go, well, it's much easier to hire someone to do this or to do that when, you know, historically it's been done by someone else. You know, like the assistant now needs an assistant because the money's available. And I just want to make sure we don't get into that because it's not just the library, it's every other entity in town is always looking, and, you know, 300 here, 500 there, that adds up to a significant increase in our budget. So, you know, that's the first thing that sticks out at me, is just, you know, adding that in for, I hate to use the word luxury, but, you know, it's a small library. I think that's something that you can address maybe in another way.
Oh, I see, okay. Well, the cleaning, if the librarian does it, that impacts on her ability to do the job. Some of the trustees occasionally came in once a month and vacuumed. Cleaning a library is not easy with all the books that are in there. We felt that it was valuable because it really would, and as I said, we went with, called town halls, and I thought maybe there was a contract that you had that we could kind of add on to, and we were told that they did have, we were working with the local cleaning company, but, and so I called them, and they were more than happy to, try to fit us in, which they did. And we felt once a month was prudent, we're not that open that many hours a week.
So, also the $750 increase that you're asking for is less than just the increase in the salary for the librarian. So I'd prefer to look at the increase that they're asking for as supporting the, the staff of the library than the cleaning, which maybe you're fundraising for, or, that's, bake some more cookies, get people to, but supporting the librarian is is something I feel very worthy of. And I'll just say that I feel like I didn't explain this properly when we were initially considering it. So that's why I invited you all in to advocate for yourself, because I felt like I didn't read your initial email carefully enough because we were calculating 1%, and so that's how that 14,140 got created, was its 1% increase over 14,000. That was our thinking when we did
I
that.
thought I missed some memo about the 1%, I thought there was, so.
That came from you, but I didn't.
But that because I didn't know how you utilize that. Thank you, now I understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, so we're going to be working on the budget later on this evening.
Very good.
Thank you very much for
Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
coming in and filling us in. Okay, Christina Naylor, Michael McGillian. And this is regarding the school play. And this says, what appears to me to be a new purchase and sale contract.
We didn't have a purchase and sale before.
Okay,
We just had a transfer. We just had, right? We just had
okay.
So, just to lead off real quick, the whole intent of this is just to memorialize our agreement. So, to the extent that it doesn't memorialize the agreement, let me know.
And we could change
And
it.
we can, yeah, that's what it has to be a meeting of the minds, that's what a contract is. And so, I think we're close to being there, and I hope we're close to being there, given the timeline that we're working on.
I think we were until we got this.
Okay.
6B,
Yep,
let's just hit that right off the bat.
gone,
Gone?
gone.
Okay. What was that even in there for?
I modeled this off another successful contract that was executed between the town school board and the town, and there was a provision that was similar to this provision here. And at least at the school board level, we talked about this a little bit, but we hadn't talked about that with the select board so much. And it was certainly a different situation than the situation that's here, so, gone.
we're tough negotiators.
Yeah.
No, I did notice. How much did the, you guys are trying to make $10 off this, I
Yep.
see.
You're gonna get the $10 every year. It's 100% return on your investment every year, Mr. Lewis. I think that's a fine and handsome
I
return.
don't know though, I was thinking we might start a little lower.
$2 for each of you.
100% return is a good return,
The,
especially in this market.
All
So-
right.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my concern was just, so this is the purchase and sale rather than the other, I had it here someplace, but
Indeed.
we had a draft agreement where it was
Lease.
lease. Yeah, so the lease is still in effect, or possibly, this is just the
Perhaps
purchase and sale.
B could be replaced with the lease, with, you know, subject to the terms of a lease to be
Okay,
agreed
at least
upon
then,
between
you know, we-
and among the.
purchase this from you for $10, and then we lease it back to the school or the school board or whatever entity that is, and then all the provisions of the insurance and that were gone over in the lease.
That remains.
Okay. Now,
This is just an
I-
overlaying document, so if somebody
Yes.
comes in, they say,
My
okay, this-
stress level has gone down.
I'm glad
now
you didn't send
I-
this to you a week ago.
Now I'm feeling happier about this.
Although it probably would have been a better document had I gotten to it a week ago. Posting. So the lease provision will go at 6B, or subject to the lease will be inserted in terms of lease. Okay. In 6B in lieu of that paragraph. So that existing 6B gone,
Yeah,
new 6B, get you a draft later so that's tomorrow morning.
okay.
Alright.
Okay,
Lawyers
you
aren't
guys
at
are a
that.
lot.
Sorry?
I said lawyers aren't that, yes.
Start my wife.
And I have gone through the warning schedule with Barbara Norkowski, who's at the SU, who is the empress of everything legal and warning. And according to her, we have to warn it between 30 and 40 days, and we have to hold an informational meeting within 5 days, which I think is what you were referring to as a
Yes,
hearing.
yeah. Mhm.
And so we were planning to warn it on the 22nd of January, have the informational meeting on the 25th of February, and then have the meeting on the special meeting on the 26th of February.
Okay. And that's a Tuesday.
Yes.
So we would be meeting, I think, we'd be meeting on the
When?
27th. Okay.
You don't have to, we're just transferring the
Yeah, we're
property
doing
to-
it. It's our,
It's our thing.
we have to do the public,
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
comment notice
Mhm.
thing. You guys are,
You would approve, but then, right, it'd then come to us, when you come to us with this, so we can buy the property and do this without a public hearing.
I
Yes,
believe so, yes.
yes. And then, so, okay, I'm just looking at the timeline for this. Okay,
Yeah, I'm not sure there's any restriction on how long it takes once we approve to sell
No,
something
no.
when the transfer happens, so.
no, I thought that you guys had some time constraints.
Well, we'd love to get it done before town meeting.
Mhm. Yeah, that's why I was saying, we will be meeting on the 27th.
Okay. All right, I thought you had to be there. or
No,
something.
no.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that was the only question we had about,
That's all I had.
Yeah, I think a couple questions that they answered.
And the 27th will also be our informational meeting for the Australian ballot, correct? That's what we're
Yes,
gonna do.
yes, that's what we're going to do, yeah.
Okay.
And we're going to have one on February 20,
13th is our.
13th.
That's the one at the school, the two-town meeting.
yeah, in Dummerston, and then for information.
The meeting will
Could
be
be
the
it.
26th.
Yep.
Okay.
A lot of meetings for Dummerston residents. for-
really?
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we're gonna warn on
27th.
22nd?
Yeah.
And you guys are next meeting on the 23rd, is that right?
ours?
Yeah.
27th.
You're looking at January?
January, when is
Oh,
your
January.
next? No, they're talking
No.
about the 27th for the,
Okay. We're meeting on the 30th of January, the 13th of February, and the 27th of February. And the 27th is also our gala black tie event. You know, it could be Hugh Warden's last regular meeting with us, but
Wow.
there is, just between you and me, a write-in campaign.
Oh, interesting.
Excellent.
Um,
Careful here.
Don't let it out though.
This could be used against you.
If I may, given the timing,
Yes.
I would, I know that the school board would probably appreciate if you would vote to authorize someone to be able to sign the contract once it's acceptable. If that's the only paragraph that's not acceptable, and you guys are fairly comfortable with what I'm proposing to insert as 6B, if you guys could vote to authorize someone to sign the purchase and sale contract on behalf of the town prior to your next meeting, that would help us. But
Prior to our next meeting, I don't know if we can do that.
Why would you need it prior to the 30th?
Be nice to have it all signed
for
for the warning.
for the warning purposes.
But it'll definitely be signed for your informational meeting.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a deal breaker.
It's not a deal breaker, but
Yeah.
if possible. If not, I mean,
Right,
do what you feel comfortable doing. I'm not gonna.
yeah. Can we take action on something that wasn't properly warned?
We'd have to have a special meeting next week and warn it.
Okay.
Because when do you need, when did you want it to be done, tonight?
No,
No,
Oh.
not tonight.
I thought
But
you'd be meeting on the 23rd.
No.
By when?
But I thought you would be meeting next week because it's budget season, so I figured out it would just be.
We're good,
down.
we're done.
Budget.
We're
Oh, you
done.
guys are
We
good.
hope-
You
we
guys
hope
are
we're
good.
done.
Keep working with
You only
yours.
don't, you only have to do one budget, that's the.
I mean, in a perfect world, it would be done before we warn it,
Which is,
the 22nd of January. So I understand that's less than a week, but it, we have a. Yeah.
So, well,
So, but again, it's not a deal breaker. It's something that we would love, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, and we will proceed with all due caution in our respective roles.
Okay,
Yeah.
spoken
But
like
there
a
seems like
lawyer.
a general consensus of support, so I don't, yeah, I think,
well, and we can talk about it, we could move our warning date, we could have a special meeting on Monday, the 28th or something. Oh, it's not- Yeah, all right, we'll figure it out.
Thank
a
you.
lot of meetings.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
great, thank
Thanks.
you very much. Great. This will actually happen, who knows?
Very good.
No.
Okay.
Made that a little easy.
All right. Cheers. Lease, okay, lease agreement, purchase and sales.
Yeah, I found those for you.
Yeah, yeah,
They were in
thank you.
this.
Great, okay, so that's all that we need there. All right, well. Okay. I guess that takes care of our public comments. Going to the road foreman's report, we have a certificate of mileage. And Lee has gone over this, and we just need to sign it.
And does it need everybody's signatures or just one?
Yes, yeah, sure.
I'll make a motion that we sign the certificate of mileage.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Looks like this is the section to add your signatures. Correspondence for information. Is there anything under that that you would like to discuss? And
I loved the zoning administrator's report. It's so great to get that, everything's, you see everything that's happened, it's all
Mhm.
orderly. I don't know if that's
Yes.
the way they always were, but.
Actually, here is something I would like to bring up
Okay.
under that.
Yes.
And I don't know how the rest of you feel, but The thank you letter from Dummerston Cares and the return of the monies to the Miller Fund.
Yep.
Myself personally, I mean, I know Hugh, your point on it, and I agree with you. But I also think that the monies that were spent on things that the Miller Fund was meant to be spent on. And Dummerston Cares does do a lot for the citizens of Dummerston, the residents of Dummerston. I would like to thank them for, returning that check, but I'd also like to see if they would reconsider and accept the check that we wrote to them. Because those are the things that the Miller Fund was set up for. And so that would be,
Yeah, I had no qualms with voting for that. And so I'd be, just for the record, there was a discussion, Dummerston Cares came, and there was a discussion, they were looking to be reimbursed for some costs they incurred in buying winter clothing and providing meals during vacation, December vacation. And we had a very good discussion, and we voted to provide that reimbursement for about $500, less than $600. And then they had further discussion, and they decided to return the check to us, or the town. So that's the background of what this is about.
right.
Well, I think they did the right thing. Clearly, I articulate that. They are the Dummerston Cares. They look out for things that we want at Dummerston. They have their own fundraising for it. They have town support. They approach the school nurse. No one disagrees with what they did was the right thing to do. But then they found out, hey, there's another source of money. And I think they thought, well, hey, that's a good place to go, get a reimbursement for this, because we didn't know that existed. I think they learned a little bit more about the fund. They realized just that, they have their own funding stream. The town supports them. They approached the nurse. They bought the coats and the clothes, came to us, then looked at it, and if we are going to hold to the interest only, that's 5/8 of the interest available this year. That money, that $800 or whatever we decide, I have no doubt in my mind will be distributed, probably on something very similar to what Dummerston Cares did. So the money is still going to be used to do the right thing, either take care of Dummerston children. That's what the mandate's there. So it's a matter of, are we going to let Dummerston Cares use their funding stream to provide for that one? And then we're probably going to now have another $800 at least to support the kids? Or are we going to reimburse them and then only have $300, or go beyond the interest available? I think it's kind of a win-win what they did. They realized, we have the money. What we did was the right thing to do. And then at some point in the spring, the sitting select board is going to get approached for probably similar things we got to last year. And you're going to have that money to do what you feel is the right thing to do. So I think, I would accept that, and then I would just plan on that money's going to get spent later in the spring on something very similar to what they did the first time.
No, I agree. I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you, but I think the select board, and I'm not 100% positive because I'm not sure of this, but I think the select board may have dropped the ball a little bit by not getting a hold of Mary Ann Runch and letting her know, and that's why we've done that now.
Letting her know what?
That she should be contacting the school, because every year at least in years past, we've gone to the school nurse and let the select board know if there are students that need these things.
Yeah, no, she knows, and she's actually come
Right, and that she knows.
to the meeting.
Right.
And had a discussion with us.
Exactly, but I mean, and it's just a thing that I think needs to be a reminder to her every year, that these funds are there and that's what they're to be used for.
I think that's a great idea, but once again, the Dummerston Cares is kind of newly reestablished. I mean, they're just getting up to speed. I mean, so they're, you know, they weren't available maybe the last time that you were, when she came to the board, or you guys went to her and asked her that stuff. I mean, I'm not gonna spend, I think it's a win-win for both of us. I think we now have not only Dummerston Cares looking out for Dummerston residents and children, but we have the Select Board, the Miller Fund doing it. I think we're better off now than we were, you know, 2 years ago before they reestablished themselves. And I think that meeting was just one of those feeling out things on how we're going to work together. But that's, yeah.
All right.
So, yeah, it was a good discussion, and ultimately, I think we all have the same goal.
Okay. What do you?
So is there a question as to whether we should accept that check back? Is that the question on the table?
It could be, if you want to ask that question.
I mean, that's the question I asked, is
Okay.
if that's what people wanted, you know, would be willing to do. That's what I was asking, and so, I've spoke my piece,
Do you remember the amount?
it's,
It's $546
Okay, that's what I
and
remembered
change.
it being, yeah.
So,
So I was fine sending it to them. Had the nurse come and done the same thing, I would have voted to, give that amount to the nurse to do. So I'd be happy sending the check back to them. But
then we won't have the money to,
well, I'm not sure what the fund will look like the next time we get a request. And I'm not prepared, I don't have the amount that we have to work with. So, or, we can wait next time, instead of going, Dummerston Cares doing that, the nurse can contact us and we can do it directly to the nurse. But there's no motion on the table.
and with no motion on the table, we would
accept their money back.
accept their
Yeah.
money.
Mhm.
Right there's the amount.
Yep. That's the letter.
Right there.
How strongly do you feel, Louis, do you want to make a motion or not?
Let's put it this way. I said my piece, and I'll leave it at that, and I'll let, if anybody wants to make the motion, they can make it. I mean, I'd love to make the motion, but I said I wasn't gonna say any more, so I'm not saying any more. So anyways, next thing
Okay.
on there is,
All right. Okay, discussion, action, letter we received regarding a trash pile on Camp Arden Road. And it was referred to the health officer, and the health officer took a look. This is a property where this has been an issue in the past, as have other issues, and having a talk probably isn't going to result in this rubbish pile being removed. And so, as the health officer, I can ask the enforcement officer from the environmental division in Springfield come down and have a talk. It probably isn't going to result in anything, and I could keep pressing, and it might end up that the trash floats down the river.
No, that sounds terrible.
So, an option that we could have, that the select board, as the Board of Health, would be responsible for, would be to say, we could contract with either a private contractor or the town to bring in equipment and clean and remove this rubbish and dispose of it properly. would be, I don't think we could get that paid for directly. And so the thing to do would be then to put a lien on the property. And so, and it would involve consulting with the town attorney to do that in a proper way. It would be, writing a health order, giving them so many days to comply, and then if that doesn't, then checking with our town attorney for the proper way to go, and the district environmental division to go ahead and get it cleaned up. But the moment, the next day it's cleaned up, it's probably going to start again.
Is there a history with this? This
Yes,
is the first
there's a
I've heard of
history.
it. I've not heard officially, but so this is.
Yeah, there were maybe 5 or 6 years ago, the same thing happened. It was eventually removed with the help of a neighbor there, and I don't think that's likely to happen this time.
What happened before that, in the church?
No, that was another problem.
Oh, that was a different
So
one.
that's another issue, if we do this here, they're likely that we'll end up doing it at other places too.
And is this a, do we know if this is a financial limitation or just you just doesn't understand hygiene?
I would say it's a financial lifestyle limitation. And if you'd like, I could just pursue getting in touch with the environmental division of the Natural Resources Agency. They have an agent that comes down. He's a big guy with a uniform and mag light and everything. He creates a different impression than I do when I go up to someone's door. And, that's the way we've usually gone. And then we can do the health order. We can follow this along. But it'd probably be good, I'm not too concerned with cold weather, but as the weather gets warmer, it'd be nice to have this dealt with. And knowing that we'll be revisiting this likely again at some future time. But
I think that's the right thing to do. I mean, start at the lowest impact thing you can do, which would be that person coming down, but it's tough if they can afford it. You gotta follow it through. I mean, if you go to a lien, you've gotta be prepared to carry that to the final conclusion.
Right. Yeah, there've been tax sales on this property before, but at the last moment, someone has come forward and they've redeemed the property. So,
Yeah, I think somebody official looking,
yeah.
as long as that doesn't commit us to, a path where it's
So that's
costs us money.
what I'll do is
Yeah.
contact them. All right, good, and I'll keep
Thank
you
you.
informed of how things go. And I'll let the resident who wrote to us know what's going on.
70.
And he's actually contacted the board before. Is he the one who's contacted them regarding this same situation?
No, this is a,
A new person?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So there's multiple people who.
Yeah, there are, yeah, we've had.
Okay.
All right, moving on then to new business. We have the gravel pit update.
We'll talk about the grass. So, well, we couldn't master the technology here, but our neighbors to the north helped me print these on big sheets. So,
We each get one?
yes.
Okay.
Let's look at that. Still working on it, but we're getting on it. So, I'm going to jump around. I tried to
Sure.
get organized on this today, but clearly I'm not. So, I talked to Bob Fisher this morning for a little while. We exchanged some emails. Purchase and sales agreement, we're considering it a draft now. He is still waiting on any feedback from Larry Slason, who is the Putney attorney. But we're going to consider that a draft, and we're going to disclose at least the purchase price this evening. Putney's going to do the same thing. Okay, so with that, we also have there's been some work done on the interlocal contract, which is kind of the skeleton of how we're going to work with the two towns. As far as a lot of meat has to go into that. Is that's the material extraction, who's filling out the forms and those things. We talked about the Winter Bell Drive as far as the road, taking care of that, those things. But we don't need those done prior to the vote we're going to propose here at town meeting on the gravel pit. One other thing. So I'll come back to that. So just to kind of as a revamp, so we had the opportunity to purchase, it's roughly 32 acres of the gravel pit off of Route 5, the Renewal pit. I'm kind of rehashing for our viewers who may not have been following us as closely on this. But so the ability, what we're looking at is that we're going to be able to extend life of this pit. So with this chart, I'll go over this a little bit closer, this Excel sheet, but what we're looking at is we're going to be able to extend this pit out from the original life, which was going to be about 20 years. We've estimated with the material that's in the pit right now, we can get at least 50, well, we've looked at 50 years of crushing, and we're still going to have probably 200,000 yards of ledge left to crush. So it actually could go out almost 88 years. So we're looking at purchasing this gravel pit to move it from less than 20 years to commercial, as a commercial pit, to run it for over 50 years if just Putney and Dummerston use it. And then with the Carpenter pit and this Renault pit, we're actually looking at having our own source of sand in the year 2055. So we're looking at resources for the towns, way down the road right now. It would be joint ownership with Putney. The draft purchase and sales agreement is just that, it's a draft. The proposed price that we're looking at is for the 32 acres for everything in the ground, whatever stockpiles are left is $2 million. So our town would be taking a bond out for $1 million. And what we've looked at is a 25-year loan repayment on that bond. And Putney is looking at if they're going to do the same years or different years on the bond itself. So what do we got? A couple things that are going to come up. We have an informational meeting that will be held on February 13th, and that's going to be with the engineering firm will be there to go over the actual material that's in the pit. And then we'll have the information where we're showing how we're going to cost out the loan and what it would cost us to procure gravel and sand if we did not own this pit, and what it's going to look like if we do buy this pit, the gravel pit, to go through that. So that'll be a joint meeting with Putney on February 13th at 6:15 p.m. And then we are going to have another meeting within 10 days of the town meeting, just as the informational meeting, because that vote will be done by Australian ballot at the town meeting. What else do we have? So if you guys, any questions on that, just kind of a quick rundown of what we're looking at, then I thought what I'd do is just give you a little bit of information on this spreadsheet, just to let people either hear it or we can look at some of the years. Anything on what I've brought up so far?
No, other than, this will be an Australian ballot question, so on town meeting day, this would be something you'd go into the voting booth, so from whatever time the polls are open, residents can, come and vote on whether or not they want to go ahead with the purchase of this. And let's see, and they'll be deciding this would be, instead of Renault owning this and selling the gravel commercially to anyone who wants it, this would be owned just by Putney and Dummerston, and we'd be using just
No commercial
this
contracts.
material for the towns of Putney and Dummerston.
Yes.
Sort of equal amounts each year. And so that would extend, with just the two towns using this will extend the life of this gravel pit long into the
Long
future.
in the future.
Yeah,
It's
beyond my future.
It's a significant opportunity that we've been
Okay.
presented, and I guess we've been kind of working to hashing this out for 6 months, and we're finally, the idea tonight was to get everything out in the public so people could have the dollar amounts, the information, the material will be available, and hopefully it'll generate any questions they have. But yes, on that, because it's a bond issue, it is going to have to be done by the Australian ballot. And we have a general ballot, but it'll just be the ballot, or the article that we're going to vote on would just state the amount of dollars, the interest rate, the acreage, and the purpose of the use of the land. So we'll have to tweak our article just a little bit based on some new information that I was given. Do you want to look at this sheet in this meeting now, or do you want to just?
How about give us some highlights, maybe?
So, right now we're looking at, in that gravel pit, there's 794,000 cubic yards of material, 100,000 cubic yards of gravel, so that'd be bank run gravel, 200,000 yards of sand, 400,000 yards of ledge, and then there's an additional 200,000 yards of ledge in the northern pit, which is just, it's co-located, but it's separate. So we're looking at total overall ledge is 600,000 yards, sand 200,000 yards, bank run gravel is about 100,000 yards. So the way, we've got some formatting left to do on this, but I'll just run through. So the column, you have the year, that will change because we started this earlier, or late last year or so. The bond payment amount, the interest rates have changed a little bit. So not a lot of change in the repayment amount. I did just get some new estimated bond repayments. The next column, you see the administrative cost. That's just we have stormwater reports to do. Really, that's the only thing we have to do right now. There could be some associated costs if we need to hire someone to help us with any other, say we miss a deadline on something, we need some help getting it structured, so we're looking at $1,000 a year.
It's a stormwater what?
Stormwater permit report.
Permit, okay.
I think that's the one thing we have. And then there are, I think MSHA reports and other administrative things you have to fill out when you have an operation like that. So, and those just go up, we guessed a flat $20 a year going up. If you go all the way down to line 37, there's a $25,000 cost there. And that's associated with, if you go over to the top line where the headings are, where it says sand available in the Renewal pit. You see that permitting coincides with the sand running out in the Renewal pit, which happens in 2055. There's significant sand left in that pit, but it's only permitted it's at the floor that it's permitted to right now.
I see.
So the idea would be whoever is sitting at this table, or a newer, nicer table.
2055. Your grandchildren?
That's right. We'll probably move that up a couple of years, but that would be to go to the state and ask do borings and look at if we could go down another 3 or 4 feet, which would add, multiple years of material to it.
And that permitting process would cost $25,000.
That's what we're thinking now. It actually. So I'll back up one. So any dollar amount on this chart is what the Dummerston residents would pay.
Okay.
Any materials decreases that I have are actually the cumulative of both towns. So the dollars any dollar amount you see is really half the cost. It would be shared with Putney.
Oh, wow.
But the material, that I show that going down as the total amount. So for example,
Got it.
the towns take out, give you that information here. So our use right now is 5,000 yards of gravel per town per year, and 4,000 yards of sand per year per town. So then coming back over, the gravel crushing in yards, that should be a dollar figure, so that 17.5 is a dollar figure. And what that is we're crushing, the bank run gravel still has to be worked. So there's a cost in there every year. And we do that right now. We bring a crusher in and we crush our gravel. Now you can see that note 1, the crushing gravel, that's just our yards, 3,500. That's a 1.5% increase per year is what we guessed would be the cost going up on that. That bank run gravel runs out in 2032. And then if you go over just one to the right where it's yellow, it goes to $60,000 for the blast crush. That's where we're going to 100% ledge product. So we're blasting and crushing. If you go to the top again where it says blast crush of ledge product capital fund, we're going to need to put money away every year because the blasting and crushing, we're not going to do that every year. It'll be done every 5 years for economics. So the column just to the right of that is just the cumulative of the blast crush. It's 15 the first year. Right below it is 15.2. Go to the right, that's 30,000. You can see where it's got kind of that magenta, that colored highlighting, 77,000. That would be what's in that fund on the 5th year to blast and crush the material that we need. And the next one over is just, this is the big one where it shows there's 600,000 yards of ledge that we have available. We've run that down to the year 2068, and there's still 210,000 yards of ledge available. I didn't run it more than, I only went 50 years out.
Okay, so that's yardage, that's not dollar amounts.
Yes, that's yardage.
Okay.
Yeah, I missed, so if you go,
No, this is-
Right,
yeah,
well, no, I was,
pitching, yeah,
because I was looking at, it's,
oh, pitching yard,
yeah, it's
Yeah.
listed like it was a dollar amount.
yeah.
with the zeros there?
Yeah, with the decimal point,
Okay,
yeah.
thanks. Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
My Excel skills are so-so. So, let's see, so we ran that one out. The next one over, bank run gravel, we already talked about that. The bank run gravel runs out in about year 14. You can see the Carpenter Pit sand. We're going to be drawing sand out of the Carpenter Pit till about 2032. And then that Carpenter Pit sand will be gone. The next line over is the sand available in the proposed pit. There's 200,000 yards there, and you can see beginning in 2033, we'll start to extract sand at a rate of 8,000 yards per year, and it runs out in the year 2055, and that coincides with the required re-permitting we talked about earlier. To try to, otherwise, we're going to be procuring this material commercially if, one way. We're either going to get a new permit or we're going to have to look for other
Yeah.
sources.
So the 8,000 yards, that's combined.
The two towns.
Two towns, yeah.
And then the next one over, total budget. So we've gone through, and off the top of my head, I can do it. So this is the total budget if we purchase the gravel pit, and this is only the highway budget we're talking about. And you can see what our proposed highway budget is going down through the years if we purchase the gravel pit. And then you can see the next line over would be the projected budget without the pit. And you can see the large jumps where I have the highlighted 126,000. That's where if we don't purchase this thing, the material is commercially has been sold all those years, and the pit is no longer viable for us to get material from, essentially. Yearly projected budget increase. And then the next line over, the total project cost and savings, you could just see that there's added cost that accumulate, or I guess that peak down at $435,000 would be the added cost over that period of time. And then after that, you start actually saving money to where it gets in the red, and that will be your projected decrease in your overall budget. The next line is over what I've looked at right now as what would be a tax increase on $100,000, $200,000, $250,000, $300,000, $315,000, $500,000 property. You can see it's pretty low, just under $10 the first year. It jumps up, this is for the 100,000 per 100, it jumps up over 20, just slightly over 20 for the next few years. And then it begins to drop back down. And you can see we're only the highway budget now. Your highway budget taxes would actually begin to decrease after about 14, maybe 15 years going down through. So it is still a work in progress. One thing on the grand list that creates the taxes is that we would lose the tax revenue from the Carpenter pit that we have right now. We'd lose half of it because we would buy it,
And Putney would still pay.
Putney would pay their taxes on whatever the value of their half of that pit would be. And then, you know, once this pit's exhausted, we've got 32 acres of land that would be reclaimed, and then the two towns can sell when that time comes. Well past most of our times, I think.
So for residents around the pit, they might be comforted to know that the plan is to just blast once every 5 years rather than every year.
Right.
Until they run out of gravel, then it would be blasting every year.
Good time to take a vacation.
Yeah, but for the time being, it'd just be once every 5 years. For a $200,000 house, the appraisal, the tax would be in the first year just under $19 and goes up to just over $40 a year and for 5 years, and then begins to decrease after that, back down to less than $18 increase a year, goes down from there.
And the reason it decreases so much after that is, once again, the material, our projected budget would jump significantly because we'd be commercially procuring sand. That's where the Carpenter pit's going, not long after that.
So we do budget, I think in our budget now we have $50,000 for gravel and crushing right now, I think. So that's, you know, so we're paying Renewal right now for the crushing and gravel. In the future, if this question is approved by voters, we'd still be budgeting money, but we own the gravel. We'd be paying back the loan for this, but the gravel would belong to the town at that point.
Right, I think that's right around 25,000 in that vicinity that we're paying for the material. We would not be paying that, and then that would spike after the Carpenter pit because we then have to commercially procure the sand as well, which we'll own. So I would, you know, you take a look at this thing. I hope I explained it. There's a couple things you can make a note on the top of yours if you want. Under the note 1, crushed gravel at 3,500 yards, that just shows a flat 1.5% increase over the life of that bank run crushing. That's what we projected. And then the next line over, blast crush of ledge, that capital fund, we put that a little higher at 1.75% increase year to year. And over to the right where I have a highlighted 126,280 under the projected budget without the purchase of the pit, that is just coincidental with once again the Carpenter pit running out. That's a big jump when you have to buy that sand commercially. That's why that jumps so much from the 97. Anything else you think that I didn't cover that we could just bring up for tonight?
What did I think?
No, it's great, I mean,
Looks like you're pretty much all the council there.
Okay, so, big dates on the calendar are February 13th, have an informational meeting at the Dummerston School. And then again on February 27th, we'll have another smaller informational meeting here.
And then the one thing of note on this is that, and we didn't get this initially from our attorney, but a note I had on this interlocal agreement, the warning must be published in a newspaper of known circulation in the municipality once a week for 3 consecutive weeks on the same day. That publication to be not less than 5 or more than 10 days before the date on which the bond will occur, the last publication. So that's something we didn't have on the timeline. I'll check with Bob. This came from Putney's, because he was working on the local agreement. So that may be one additional thing. And that's what's going to get us those things that require that lead time. I think we got most of it covered, but you know, the things that keep you up at night sometimes.
Yeah. I'm sleeping like a baby late, knowing that you're the one sleeping, or not sleeping so well.
All right, that's it. Thanks.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so, the good news is we already dealt with the school playing fields tonight. Oh, rats, we've got to do the budget. What would you like to do with the budget?
Put it off till next week.
Okay. So, you've got your latest edition of the budget. And I know you are all over this. How about we do it the easy way? You can go through section by section or just general discussion and then go through. We could do the low-hanging fruit and get that. It's the highway fund.
Yeah.
Okay,
Actual and estimated expenditures, our grand total is $524,992, decrease of around $4,000 from last year. Is everyone all right with this budget?
Sounds good to me.
yep.
Okay. All right, so we've got that. Now, the general fund. Okay, once again, I
The
did.
structures fund, is that?
Okay, structures.
That's on that same page, that's why I just went.
Well, it goes along with the highway.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we had that added in, is it added into that 524 now, or the structures?
The structures is
Separate.
Yeah, yeah. And right now, that's what we're,
5,000.
yeah.
Are you doing the revenue side or are you doing the budget, the expense side?
I'm doing expenditures.
Oh,
That's what I'm trying to do.
okay.
Revenue.
What's the confusion?
I'm looking for my structures fund page.
It was just not, it probably is stuck to this.
Ah. stuck with
That's
that
it.
one maybe, okay.
Yeah, our restructures fund right there.
It's this.
Yeah, but we're budgeting 5,000 for that, right?
And that was, I'm sorry, that was the revenue side. This
No,
was
you're
the
looking at the revenue,
Yeah.
5,000 is the
the
revenue
revenue.
side.
I made a
Okay.
mistake there, yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Now I'm confused.
Yeah,
So Highway Structures Fund, actual and estimated expenditures says 15,700.
Yeah, when I said 5, I was looking at the revenue side.
Oh, okay.
okay.
So it's
Yeah.
15,700.
Mhm.
That's what Lee estimated would be how much the
Yes.
city
Okay,
Yeah,
project would be.
okay,
okay.
and, all right.
Should we start over? There we go. Good.
Okay, you want to move on to the general fund?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, of all the towns in Vermont, Dummerston, again, has one of the lowest cost select boards in the state. There are maybe 3 towns that have select boards that have a lower line item. But, you know, they're generally populations of 450 or less. So, just, is there anything else you want to work with? The library seems to be looking for reconsideration.
When I went through this, I thought it was pretty good here, what we had.
Doesn't say I'm comfortable where the library's at.
I would take them to 14,250 myself. I'd give them the extra $110.
Why do you say what's 110 based on?
Well, I'm still just, I don't think they need the 500 for the cleaning. I mean, they had the $50 in there for.
But they're not
travel.
asking for $500 for cleaning. They're asking for $790 for an increase in the salary of the librarian, and they're not even asking for that full amount. They're only asking for $750.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the bottom line request, and I'm looking at how she broke it down to us tonight. And there was a $500 expense in there that I don't think that they need.
And so you would say, give them $250
I thought
over what they had.
Yeah, she came with her total number, and
right.
she broke it down to me, and I said, okay, that all makes sense, except this $1, that I don't feel that, it's just an additive that I'm not going to go with. So I'm either happy with what's here, or I'm giving the extra $110.
If we change this is gonna change a whole lot of other reports
Yeah.
out through.
Okay. I'm just throwing that out.
And it'll change the article, the warning as
Yeah.
well.
Right. We could, and I'm trying to think, when is our deadline to have this finalized? We could leave it as is, and when we get to town meeting, they can stand up and ask the
Mhm.
voters there for an increase.
They could amend it
Yeah, they could.
from the floor.
And I'm fine with that. I guess I wish that, because I thought they did a nice job, and I know it's, we advertise our budget meetings, but no one knows exactly when we're gonna talk about their thing.
Yeah,
Although I
sure.
guess if you showed up, we would
Mhm.
talk about it. So, yeah, I do wish they'd come in a little bit sooner.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and that's true with, I think, all of these. We had a lot of requests for increases. And we were very careful in some of those increases, or in some places not. Granting increases or budgeting increases. the process is, this is our proposed budget, and it can be amended from the floor. I expect we'll have some lively debate on town meeting day. So, if we're going to keep that library amount at the 14,140, is there anything else that you want to change or alter, or is this general fund actual and estimated expenditures and the proposed budget for fiscal year 20, what you'd like to go with?
This is what I'd like to go with.
Okay.
So you, well, I can't find it. So we talked about this because the structures were in some of the dollar. Just the bottom line question, is that $524,000? Does that cover the $15,000 for the structures?
No, I went back through the last, I think, 5 or 6 years of town reports, and they're not included, that structures is not included in, as a, tacked onto the bottom anywhere, because it's on a separate fund.
So I know that's gonna be as an article, right? Separate article?
Yes.
15 usually gives the structures fund.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be identified on this budget sheet.
No.
Right. And the article will just be for raising the $5,000 we're going to raise from taxes, and, or we'd like to raise taxes to put in the highway structures fund. The $15,000 is what Lee estimates he'll use from the reserve that we have in the structures fund for the town's portion
Okay.
for the Stickney Brook structure.
So I'll read where, so the 5,000, okay, the 524 is, that's the right number.
Yes.
Because we had, there was a couple of years, remember we had, it was included, like like the structures was included in one of the lines, like a couple years ago, it wasn't included the year before that.
That was on the Excel spreadsheet, and that was what the treasurer had sent. But
Okay,
when I went back and looked through all the town reports, and how it was actually printed in the town report, is exactly how you're seeing
just seeing it
it,
right here.
right here.
Okay.
So I kept the same format as what it was in the prior town reports,
Okay.
so.
I'm happy with it as well.
Okay. All right, good with the general fund? Okay, moving on. Everyone good with the, say, the statement of revenues for the highway fund? And the highway fund proposed for fiscal year, the revenue side, the surplus that we'll be using was reduced by $9,000 at a special town meeting on November 14th. That was used for the audit and associated costs with that for the gravel. Well, an audit for the town's finances. Okay, highway fund okay? Yes. Good. All right. All right, let's see. Someplace in here, general fund, statement of revenues. Looks like we have a surplus of $51,346. That will be using to reduce taxes. Let's see. General fund. Okay, everyone good with the revenue?
The grand total, yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. Capital budget. The next. All right, so we're going to ask voters to raise $170,000 to put into the capital fund budget. We're going to ask voters to, if they would spend up to, not to exceed, $160,000 for a new truck and plow for the highway department. We will be paying back $65,200 from the capital fund for, that will go for the first year's payment on a fire truck that was approved last year. Going to ask voters to approve $5,000 for painting the exterior of the municipal building, and an amount not to exceed $10,000 for a heat pump system for the municipal building. With all of that, the bottom line actually in the fund still looks pretty healthy going through the next several years. So that's...
Did we ever get an estimate for painting this, not using our own town employees?
The estimate that they gave was just the estimate that was given for the estimates on the,
Historical Society?
Yeah, Historical Society.
So we did get an estimate for the,
Not for the,
specific estimate for the town office.
no, they never got the estimates.
Right, Lee feels like he and his crew can find the time and and they have the expertise to do this. So, okay, so there, we've got the capital fund budget, general fund, projected spending, and also revenue, highway fund and spending proposed, and revenue sheets, and the structures fund. Would you, we're all good with that?
Yep.
I entertain a motion to approve these budgets.
I'll make a motion that we approve the proposed 2019-2020 budget as we have published here.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All
Is that a
right.
good enough motion? We need a specific dollar amount
I
stated?
think that's
That's good.
good enough. This is what we'll
All right.
give to the auditors.
Mhm.
All right, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Oh,
think we owe Maria a big thanks, because this was a lot of time and effort keeping
Yeah.
these spreadsheets for the last 2.5 months. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd like to say that we can all take next Wednesday off. All right. So, now we have, moving on, this, the town of Dummerston warning for town meeting, which will be on March 5th, 2019. I guess that's the right date, right year. I sometimes have trouble with the year this early in the season. I don't know if we need to read this. Is there anything on here that,
Article 2, there's 2 blanks that we need to fill in.
all right,
And I think that one, just, again, I didn't check with Bob, because I just got this, but this one, when it talks about the bond article, it has to say what the purpose of the land would be used for. So, in other words, the model bond article says, you know, shall the general obligation bonds of the town of Dummerston in an amount not to exceed, I mean, we have the interest rate and everything else. This one doesn't have it, but it does have not to exceed, $1 million to be issued for the purpose of financing a 32-acre plus or minus land in the town of Dummerston for the purpose of gravel extraction and other lawful purposes. So I think we may need to reword that just to say what it's going to
Okay.
be used for. Just to
yeah,
make sure we cover
what's the percentage that you have?
So this one is the most current one, and it's, tell me, who's the math goes, it says the net interest cost is 3.84%.
Okay, so because it's not to exceed, we're going to ask voters to approve something not to exceed if the interest rate goes up 0.2%.
Not to exceed. You wanna just say 4%, or do you wanna go a little higher?
I'd even say like 4 1/4 or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, 4.25%.
Okay. And we can always have another special town.
Right, just raise it even higher, so.
Yeah,
So you got that.
4.25%?
Yeah, in the 25 years.
In 25 years, okay.
and then we'll have
And
to,
we'll have to put in there the
32
2 acres in
acres.
the town of Dummerston for the extraction of gravel and sand, or just gravel?
I would just, this one says for the purpose of gravel extraction and other lawful purposes.
Oh, yes.
let's see,
Better have that in there.
Now, I don't know where he got that. That was just that's one other attorney's model.
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
It's fine.
what, is gravel, extracting ledge or sand would be lawful.
Mhm.
So we're
Yeah.
going to,
But we're right there.
what?
We're all right with that then?
Okay, all right.
All right?
Sure.
The purpose of the purchase, what did you say? Purpose is for gravel extraction and other lawful purposes, is that what you said?
That's what you said.
Okay. I don't know, is that just gonna be tagged onto the end, or how's it? And I do think we should put the addresses. Can we just call it the Renewal pit, is that legally okay?
He only has one in Dummerston, but, yeah, we could put that address down on there.
Yeah,
Sure.
Or just say 32, the 32,
acres in the town of
32.
Dummerston?
32, approximately 32-acre Renewal gravel pit in the town of Dummerston,
I'd
that's
say
pretty,
that's pretty good.
yeah.
Okay, so I'll insert that there then, before renewal.
So you would put it up at the top of this. Shall the voters authorize the purchase of the 32-acre
Acres,
Renault
right.
gravel pit for the extraction?
In the town of Dummerston for the extraction of gravel and other lawful purposes.
At a cost not to exceed.
Yeah.
That's better.
You'd say 32 plus or minus, I guess.
Okay.
It's a little, it's very, it's like just,
Right.
it's a 32 1/4, 32 and a half. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right.
And even if we write 4 1/4 at the town meeting, well, we won't actually know the exact percentage, will we, at the town meeting? probably.
Right.
Okay.
And we won't even know if it's approved or not until after town meeting.
Right.
And actually, because it's by Australian ballot, we
can't
can't
discuss
discuss it
it.
at town
Right.
meeting.
Right,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah, we can't.
All right.
You're off the
I'll
hook.
plan my afternoon sooner then.
Yeah, really.
Okay. I think everything else there is pretty easy.
Mhm.
Um, We've had two petitions. One is to raise $2,500 for the repair of the Dummerston Historical Society, and the other petition came in from Seveds, and they would like $5,592 to be raised by taxes.
Now, what about, weren't we gonna put in here somewhere about where we were gonna get the money for the first payment of, if that went
Oh,
through?
well, we're going to put to the,
Used out of the capital?
yeah, from,
On what?
oh, it does say, and to pay the first year repayment from the capital.
Okay, it doesn't have amount, it doesn't have the amount, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, there we go.
Mhm.
Yeah, make the first year.
Because we actually won't know, we don't actually have a repayment dollar
Dollar
amount
amount, right,
until we
yeah.
lock in an interest rate.
Mhm.
yes. If the vote,
Yeah.
But do we wanna say not to exceed a certain amount on that? I mean, or do we just,
for the first year's repayment.
So if this was
That's right.
from, as of 12/17/18, if we'd taken a loan, looks like we would have got the money in May. Oh, no, that's not right. Had a first payment in November. That's not right.
Let me see, did we,
It was $30,000 was the first payment, but this will all change.
okay, let's see. I'm not sure about that. Maybe we need to put the amount, an amount not to exceed.
yeah, that's, I mean, I just think that you're gonna, I mean, if we have it in there, it's in there, and then we don't have to go through it. I think we're gonna have to go through that and we can't really discuss it at town meeting because it's,
Right,
so
we
it's.
did, when
We
we,
put $50,000 because we know it's gonna be,
It'll-
right now, what did we have it at, Hugh? I think it's like 42?
I was
If
gonna say
it's-
on the spreadsheet, it's
the article for the fire truck last year,
42,
No.
155, 151.
put the amount of the first year's repayment in it, so it might be good if we could have that in, just so, the more information people have,
Right.
the better.
okay, so what's the dollar amount that we want to put in there, not to exceed?
I'd write $50,000.
Yeah, that seems fair enough.
Okay,
I mean, it should be less than that, but let's just,
so I'll tack that onto the
because if
end.
that's if we close, yeah,
Mhm.
well, it'd be half the year, so yeah.
So
Yeah.
it'll read, to pay the first year repayment from the capital fund not to exceed $50,000.
That's what I would think.
Okay.
And then by Australian ballot is at the very end.
Is at the very end, yes.
Okay,
So another thing I remember from before relative to the articles was a question about acknowledgement that certain articles are there because of petitions.
usually, I don't know if we can print that, but, the moderator
Generally says
can
something.
say, and, Article 16 is by petition.
Okay, yeah.
And sometimes, the petitioners will want to,
Right, yeah.
introduce the
Okay,
motion.
thanks for that reminder.
So,
So Sevens did not say by petition last year in the written stuff.
right.
I think they said you couldn't say that.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I don't think
I
you can.
think that's what,
We used to do it, but we.
And we mentioned it to the moderator. and she
Yeah.
did indicate that.
yes. Yep. Okay. So we've made some adjustments to Article 2.
Just a couple.
And we still have room on the next couple of pages for everything else. And the amounts look right for what we're going to raise. So, are we good with this?
Thank you, Zeke.
Want a motion for this, to approve this one?
So if we, Article 2, can we just read how we're gonna do that? And then
Shall the voters authorize the purchase of the Renewal gravel,
32 acre.
32 acres plus or minus in the town of Dummerston for the extraction of gravel and other lawful purposes, the Renewal gravel pit at a cost not to exceed $1 million, and to authorize the town to finance the acquisition through bonds or notes at an interest rate not to exceed 4.25% and a period not to exceed 25 years, and to pay the first year repayment from the capital fund not to exceed $50,000.
by Australian ballot.
By Australian ballot.
Just, so, just to make that, shall the voters authorize the purchase of the 32 plus or minus acres in the town of Dummerston, known as the Renewal gravel pit? Does that make it any clearer?
Okay,
And then,
okay.
yeah, for the purpose of gravel extraction and other lawful purposes.
Mhm.
Okay. Right.
I would move that we approve the warning for town meeting for March 5th, 2019 as written here and to include the edits on Article 2.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion?
We can approve it, but it has to be contingent because more petitions are allowed tomorrow,
Up and,
until tomorrow.
yes, okay. And then, yeah,
Petitions have to be in by the 17th.
Yes. So we can approve these, but if
subject to, we would, if another petition comes
then
in,
we have
then we'll
to,
have to come back in,
right, we
have
have to
a special meeting to add a petition to the warning.
Yeah.
We're not aware of any petitions.
Right, yeah.
But don't go too far. You're not leaving town, are you?
You can catch me on Friday or Saturday.
Okay.
And then will we all need to come in and have these signed so you can, do they need to be signed for
Yeah,
the
these
public?
need, this needs to all
Yes.
be signed.
Yeah.
And so we'll just wait and get a,
I was gonna say, I'll change it and then I'll email it to everybody and then I'll leave a copy with Lori and we can come in and sign it.
yeah. Great. Good. Okay. Remind me, we've got, I can't remember if we voted on this.
No, we have
No,
not.
we
We had a
have not.
motion in a
Got a motion
second.
and a second. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, good. This is our warning then. All right. So we've approved the budget, we've approved articles. All right, the zoning administrator, moving on, has asked about the DRB fees for the gravel pit hearing. And as far as, you know, the warning it in the paper of record, I'm not sure what other fees there are associated with it, but
Just if you pay for, where it's just $75 if you want to go see the DRB or whatever it is, but.
postage
I-
and whatever.
There's the fee and then there's a couple dollar postage, but there is a fee schedule, I think it's up on the wall there, I can look, I mean, can we not, I would think that'd be way for a municipality myself.
I would think so. But if, the bill needs to the newspaper needs to be paid, we can come out of our budget rather than the DRB's budget or, it's all coming from the same pot. So I'd say any discretionary fees could perhaps be waived, but any
So there's no fine print under
Any-
the instructions for fees, that if it's actually the town, it's waived?
I actually thought it was if the town did, I don't know where I remember that from, but apparently if he's asking, it's not clear cut. But I mean, we approved their budget, so I would think we could approve our own waiver of.
Sure. That's what I would.
Yeah. I mean, I think I know where they've got the fees, I mean, I could jump up and just see what the.
Would you
fee
mind,
is.
let's just,
Just see what the fee
Yeah,
is.
just-
They may have moved it, let me check real quick.
And
Is he looking for like the application fee, or is he looking for the cost of like the warrant, to warn it in the
he
paper?
gave me. I don't have it with me right now. I can't say exactly what he was looking for, but he is very detail
Oh, yes.
oriented. Well, speaking of waiving our own fees, I went to the county, Superior Court in Newfane, where the county budget was approved yesterday, and and I was the only one there from the public, but there have been some years where another select board member from Guilford has shown up, but for a $500,000 budget, I'm surprised at how little oversight there is. And it's a pretty nice job where you get to give yourself a raise, and vote it in with no one from very little public involvement there. So I'm just.
Were you invited to comment at any,
Oh, sure. It was a public meeting, open to everyone.
and did you comment?
Of course I did. But I'm just, maybe if we can just get the word out. And of course, the judges that are making the budget, of course, and their staff are, I do not mean to suggest any impropriety at all. This is the process that they follow, and I just, it always astounds me that it's so easy to pass a $500,000 budget, but you found the fees?
So there's no specific one for an amendment, but an appeal total cost is $110 and a site plan is $70 total. So, I
Okay.
don't know what would be an appeal or
So we didn't have because one had just been done
so
last year, there's no site plan.
Yeah, so there's nothing for an amendment, so the highest one I could find was 110. That was for an appeal, which we kind of appealed to have an amendment, right?
Well, do you want to have a motion to waive any DRB fees? I mean, we don't need an amount in there, we could just say any DRB fees for the gravel pit.
I'd rather find out what they're actually looking for.
Who's they, Roger?
Roger.
If Roger's looking to have have us basically pay for, say, the warning in the newspaper, then we could authorize, rather than have it come out of the DRB portion of the
Yeah.
budget, we could authorize it to come out of the select board budget.
Yes, that's what I would be in favor of.
He had it written on the application you had. Did you guys keep a copy of that?
I've got a copy, and I don't have it with me.
I
Okay.
think it was $110 it said on the top. He said it was a $110 fee.
'Cause I remember seeing the dollar amount, I just don't remember what it was, but, because I was surprised to see that on a municipal.
Right.
Yeah, I thought it'd be a waived thing being a municipality.
That's why I kind of was like,
I thought-
ignored it, 'cause I thought we'd be waived, but,
I mean,
so it was probably 110, because that's what they're,
But that's different than what you were saying in terms of the
Yes.
amount for the paper.
Right,
well, there's a filing fee, and
Right.
then, so that's a combined, it's like $100 for the, to go, because they have to do whatever, and then it's $10 filing fee, it's total, so it's a total fee, but, all right, I mean, you want to just put it off till we find out, or do you want
Sure.
to waive it
Table it
$110?
until-
Yeah, let's table it, and we'll get,
because we could actually waive the fee, but then still authorize the actual costs
That's what I
involved
was,
yeah.
to just come out of the select board
Yes,
budget as
that-
opposed
that's
to the
that's what I
DRB.
think would be reasonable, yeah.
Okay.
Could you step back on the gravel pit real quick? So that newspaper thing, if we have to do that, that's gotta be February 12th, 19th, and 26th. So do we need to authorize putting that in the Reformer or the Commons or?
well, that, I was wondering whether it would be acceptable to put it in the Commons.
That's
a
every
long
other week.
newspaper.
Because it,
Oh, it's
because
every
just,
other week now?
That's every other week. The Commons is,
Oh, I thought.
oh no, it's every week. You're right, it's every
Every
week. Yeah, it's every week.
Wednesday.
So yeah, we do it on Wednesday. It would be every week.
Yeah.
So we have to get it to them by the 5th.
Right.
And we just gotta make sure they publish it on the 26th, because the last one has to be within 10 days.
Well, I bet you'd have to do it before the 5th to get them
To do it, because they only come out on Wednesdays, right?
yeah, they come out
Yeah.
on Wednesdays.
So you need to get it in.
And you need it by the
their
26th,
publishing
has to be the
schedule's
last
gonna
one?
be different.
Yeah, we need the 12th, 19th, and 26th.
So, yeah, they come out on Wednesdays.
Right, so would we,
So
Can you do the 6th, the 13th, and the 20th? Those are all Wednesdays when they would come out.
oh,
February.
no, I'm looking at February though, right?
Yeah,
Right.
Am I looking at the wrong day? Oh, yeah, I'm looking at Tuesday. Yeah, so the 6th, well, the 13th, 20th, and 27th would be right? The last one has to be within 10 days of the meeting.
Okay.
of town meeting.
Yeah, no less than 5 and no more than 10.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, so we want,
No, it would have to be the 6th, the 13th, and the 20th.
That's too many days though.
Too many days.
This 27th, what's wrong with the 27th?
that's 5 days, 7 days, right? That's
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
27th
Yeah.
would work, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I was looking at Tuesdays. We need the 13th, the 20th, and 27th.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
So we need this article, Article 2.
And the Commons is gonna be a lot less expensive, right?
Yes, yes.
And so we just need to find out what date they need it for,
Yeah.
because a weekly publication obviously has
Sure.
different publication deadlines than daily.
Yeah. So if we get it to them sometime next week, we should probably be great.
And you just have to get one thing to them, right? And then they publish it 3 times.
Right,
The
the warrant.
same thing.
Yeah. Warning must be published in a newspaper of known circulation once a week for 3 consecutive weeks on the same day of the week.
Good. Well, Commons is great.
Yeah. The last publication not less than 5 nor more than 10 days before the date on which the bond book will occur.
Okay, we're good.
So that works out
Yes,
nicely.
13th, 20th, 27th.
I
And
make sure I
that's-
check with the Commons that there's no reason they're not gonna do it on a Wednesday.
Right.
Have a holiday in there or something or they.
And that's only Article 2.
Yeah.
We don't
that's-
have to publish the whole warning, just
Right.
Article 2.
Yeah,
Right.
the whole warning does have to get
Right.
published at some point.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Do you want to take care of that?
100, yeah, I can do that.
This is great. All right. Okay, so we're tabling the DRB fees. Okay, so
And
rest,
we're good for paying for that?
what?
good to pay for that? I don't know what it
Sure,
costs.
sure.
Okay.
Rescue,
You could probably check with Lori and she probably knows exactly who to email it to.
Okay.
so our total for the fiscal year 2019, 2020 would be $43,878.56. Not a big jump or increase. What would you like to do?
Make a motion that we sign the rescue Inc. contract.
All right.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so it just takes one signature. Do that later. Okay, now here's the best part of the show. I mean, we lost a lot of viewers probably going over the gravel pit and budget. But this is where we'll get them back, because this is the portion of our show where we become the liquor control board.
All right. I'll tell you what, I'll
I
move
can hardly
that.
wait.
I'll move that we adjourn the select board meeting.
Recess.
Recess.
Yeah, recess the
All right.
select board meeting and convene liquor control board.
I'll second that.
Okay, any
I know,
discussion?
it's a tough one to remember.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so here we are, the liquor control board.
When you're not here, I have to do that.
So we have a liquor license renewal application, and this is Sandry Company over on Route 5. What would you like to do?
We approve the liquor license.
Do you want to do them
for Sandry.
together or
Oh, we
separate?
can do them together. And we have, this is Circle K for over on Route 30.
Yeah.
Looking for the
Oh,
same
confused
thing.
those already.
What are they
Yeah.
doing?
Looking for
Oh, to be
liquor
able to sell.
license renewal,
Mhm.
doing business.
So it's two stores in Dummerston essentially, the Route, exit 4,
Yeah.
Route 30.
Sunoco, and the Route 30 Circle K.
Yes.
Irving. Yeah. Well, I'll move we approve the liquor license for the Circle K on Route 5 and Sandry on, the Circle K on Route 30 and Sandry on Route 5.
Second it.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we need to all sign that.
So are we done with that?
Yes,
Can we sign those when we're,
yes,
after we're adjourned?
well, that's, I think we probably could.
All right, I move we adjourn the liquor control board and reconvene the select board.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, here we are, back as the select board. Is there anything else? Let's see, we earned,
We earned our keep.
yeah, today at least.
Productive.
I'm sorry we adjourned the liquor control board because we consider that at this point. So, got a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.